and welcome back to my knitting podcast. My name is Sophie, but I'm better known as the Knit Purl Girl here on YouTube, over on Instagram and on Ravelry. I apologise for a couple of things. First off, my voice isn't great today. I have been rushing to get this jumper finished, so I haven't got much sleep this week, so I'm a bit on edge, I guess would be the way to put it. And also I realised that I haven't been replying to YouTube comments. They weren't coming through to my Gmail account, which is what they had been doing for the however many years that I've been kind of running this YouTube channel on and off, and all of a sudden they stopped. So I'm really sorry about that. I will try and go through and answer any questions that are outstanding. But yeah, that's really rude. I'm very sorry. I just kind of didn't check. I don't watch YouTube really on this account. I have like a personal YouTube account. Just, I don't know, it's what came first. So I kind of keep all of my knitting content, all of like the podcasts I watch on this YouTube account, and then all the other kind of Pokemon related crap that I watch on the other one, just being honest here. So yeah, sorry about that. I didn't mean to be so rude. I feel really guilty, but yeah, I will try and go through those comments in the next week. But yeah, I am back again to talk about what I've been knitting this month. As I film this, it is Friday the 25th. Yes, Friday 25th of April. So the podcast is going live tomorrow. It's been a really slightly weird month again, work-wise. I've been quite productive, just not in volume of knitting. I wrote up about, I think, 5 or 6 patterns this month, which I had been procrastinating since like January, so it was long overdue. So I've now got everything is now written up, I think, until October, which is awesome. I'm very pleased about that. And then I took about a week's holiday where I didn't really knit. I just kind of, did the work that came through as and when I had to. But I took a week off knitting just because I've knitted a lot this year, which sounds like a really stupid thing to say on a knitting podcast. But it's true, I've done a lot of knitting. I think I've made a lot. So I've got my like shelves behind me where I keep my knits in rotation. I've made a lot of things so far this year, and I think I was a bit manic at the start of the year post-wedding. It kind of need to take a week to just decompress. And then I also had I've had a few things I've had to make that I didn't really want to, because that's kind of how it is when knitting is your job. So I had to make, I'm really pleased with it, but I had to make what I'm wearing. I had to make a second sample of another t-shirt design and start another sample of something else when I want to be doing the kind of fun creative design side of things. But that's fine. I've got 1, maybe 2 more sample knits that I need to make, and then I can get back to the fun side of things where I'm making decisions and thinking about design things. Also, we're also joined by my cat today. I think this is her first appearance on this channel, but she's been very, very, very clingy with me lately, so I can't get rid of her. It will upset her, she'll just meow. What was I saying? Yeah, I don't know. I don't mean to sound ungrateful, because I'm very aware of how lucky I am to be able to knit for a job, but sometimes it's like, I don't want to make this, I want to be doing something else, but because of scheduling, kind of need to pull my finger out every now and then. But that's okay. Enough whinging from me. Yeah, I don't have a lot of knits to show you today. I think I've got 2 finished objects this month, and I'm wearing one of them. I don't think I've finished anything else. I've just kind of been either, like I say, taking a week off. I was away for a couple of weekends, had a weekend in Bath for a work thing, which I'll talk about a little bit. And we tried to go camping in Dorset, and the weather has been really lovely here for British spring. British spring is very and it's either glorious or it's awful. And it's been pretty nice where I live, down in the south of England, up until this one weekend where we tried to go camping, and we only did one night because the tent collapsed at 3 a.m. because the wind was like 40-mile-an-hour winds, and it was not great. We had a lovely time. Apart from that, we went to where my dad's ashes are scattered and a few other nice bits, but it was quite full on. So yeah, not loads to show you, but I've made a few bits of progress on some long-standing projects, and I have got some nice finished objects. So anyway, I've been rambling for a while, so I will wrap this up and let's get to the good stuff. Okay, so as ever, let's start with what I'm wearing. This is my 3rd and final Marie sweater sample. Pattern's available now. as always, information about discount and the pattern links will be below. But it is a contiguous shoulder sweater with a button-up detail on the left shoulder. This sample does not have stripes. Helps if I don't let the sleeves ride up. Really, really pleased with this. It has been a manic rush to get it finished. I think I was up knitting until 3 in the morning the other day, trying to get the body done because I just haven't managed my time very well towards the end of this month. You'd think that setting your own deadlines would help you with deadline management, but I'm like, I think because it's like when I was a student, it's kind of like, well, I know that I can write 3,000 words in a day, 5,000 words in a day. Doesn't mean they'll be good, doesn't mean it'll be a fun process, but I can do it. So it's so bad. Anyway, but I'm really pleased with this. It is super beautiful. The yarn for it was gifted. It was gifted in a personal capacity as a wedding present, but all the same, had gifted, kind of. Well, no, not kind of, it was gifted, yeah. You know what I mean. And the yarn is from Avec Anna. It is her silk mohair and merino in the shade Muscade. So it's a lovely, this is the colour that I like my cups of tea. It's like a proper builder's brew kind of colour, which I'm sure is not what Anna was going for when she chose the shade. But it is a really beautiful, quite warm, deep beige. I think beige is probably a bit, maybe not the right term for it. It's kind of like muscovado sugar is another good kind of reference, but it's beautiful. This is what it looks like combined. And I've spoken about this before quite extensively, so I'm so sorry for repeating myself, but where I've got quite low contrast colouring and slightly difficult, I don't know, I never know how good beige looks with my undertones and my colouring, but I think this is actually quite nice. It's not necessarily a colour that I would have chosen myself, but I will now because I really like it and I think this will be very wearable. It's been about 6 years since I've had an office job, but I feel like this is a very office appropriate kind of jumper. Contiguous shoulder construction, so it's very neat on the shoulder. And then, yeah, full length sleeves for this one. The pattern includes options for, it's not really options, it's more kind of, yeah, there are instructions on the sleeve length, but an option for a short sleeve. So this is with all over stripes. I've spoken about this a few podcasts ago, but this is made with Isaya Palette and Isaya Trio 1. Shade names as ever will be all sorted in the description box down below. But this is a really nice off-white and very, very, very blackened navy blue. It's actually been warm enough to wear this, which has been really nice. So yeah, I think I've worn this maybe 4 times this year so far, and I'm looking forward to getting more wear out of it in the summer. But I think you can see the contiguous shoulder construction really nicely in this sample. Beautiful yarn combination, but quite expensive for what it is. It's a, let me grab a ball because then I can actually show you. Here we go. So Trio 1 is one of my favourite summertime fibres. It is a blend of cotton, linen and viscose, I think. Lyocell, sorry, so it's 50% linen, 30% cotton and 20% lyocell. This is a different shade. This is colour Sky. For reference, very beautiful blue, very me. This is the shade Linen, and I think the other colour I used was Ink or Navy. And then the trio, the palette is also Linen, and then again it's either Ink or Navy. I can't remember which way around it is, but they are colour matched, so they're designed to be kind of compatible. I think this is slightly more yellow toned. The Trio 1 is slightly more cool toned, but yeah, if you're a big fan of knitting with the second strand, I really recommend trying Trio 1 for your summer knits. It's quite a nice way of making yarns that, well, it's good with bulking out fingering weight yarn if you're not a fan of fingering weight knitting, but we'll get onto that later. And it can also make a cooler weather fibre more warm weather appropriate because it's just got lovely properties. It'll be quite moisture wicking. And the linen adds a really nice textured element to your knits. So that's what the fabric looks like close up. I think it's really lovely. Palette is 100% cotton and it is a ribbon yarn, so it's like a big flat I-cord. Hopefully this will focus. It's a really interesting yarn, but like I said, I think it is quite expensive for what it is. It's 160 metres, which I think is 175 yards. And I want to say it's about £7 a ball, maybe £8 a ball. So yeah, that is quite a lot, and I think I needed, God, it helps if I just keep my phone out really. I needed 6 balls for this t-shirt, and I'm quite petite. I'm short in the body, so all of my knits are quite cropped compared to like normal height people. And I wear the 3rd size in my sizing. So that is, I've got an 89 centimetre, kind of 35, I think, inch bust at the moment. So yeah, I think projects knit entirely in this, especially if you are a bigger person, could be quite expensive, but it is really lovely. And if it's in your budget, I do recommend it. There are like no signs of wear on this at all. It still looks kind of fresh, and the creases fall out of it really quickly, which I find very useful because I don't know, I'm a messy person. Stuff gets creased. And then here is the first sample. So this is the original one. This is made with, the base yarn is from RiverKnits UK, and it is Nene in the shade Unterwasserwelt, and Bar, which is their plain undyed yarn. You'll notice that the neckline on this looks a little bit shallower. I'm pretty sure when I actually wrote up the pattern, I did add a couple of rows into the shoulder, so that's why the neckline looks a little bit deeper on the t-shirt and also on what I'm wearing. But this has stripes from the sleeve. Basically, as soon as you finish the yoke, I think I worked 2 rounds in the main colour and then started doing stripes. So I did 2 rounds in the white, 4 rounds in the blue. And I held this with Mohair, also from Avec Anna in the shade Royal, and Filcolana Tilia Mohair in just their natural white, I think it's called. I think it's shade 1 or shade 0, I can't remember. It's white. But yeah, I think this is very chic. The name is inspired by Mary de France, who 12th century poet, kind of the right terminology, and it's all very like, because it's quite like ooh la la, quite French, I thought I'd go for a French inspired name. But yeah, that is what the shoulder looks like where you button it up. This was very fun to work out. I used a slightly different button method again in the first sample, but I found that there were just so many ends to weave in. So basically I was like breaking and rejoining yarn in a similar way to how you do double knit button band, and I just found that it made a massive faff, and there were so many ends to weave in, and if you were doing it with stripes it was so much more complicated. So in the pattern it is just working a double yarn over and then knitting or like working those stitches in the next row. So it's very easy. It's actually quite a beginner friendly pattern, I would say. There's no German short rows, it's all worked flat and then shaped with increases along the neckline, and then you're working right side and wrong side increases at the start of the shoulder, changing to increases in the sleeves only, and then you finish with raglan increases, so you get a really neat fit at the underarm in my opinion. But yeah, that is Marie. I will shut up about her for now, but yeah, again, all the information about the pattern will be below. Okay, I'm filming my B-roll, and I just need to say before I show you this one, the sleeves are too short. I know they're too short. I need to go back in and add like maybe even just like 10 more rounds, I think. No, 20 more rounds. I think I was desperate to get the sample finished, to get the call for testers done. But obviously I've worn it a few times and it's like, that's a lot of wrist. I don't mind a bit of wrist showing, but I need to go back and do that. But you know what it's like, it's a faff. But yeah, I just haven't done it yet, but I will. Anyway. Oh, I do have more things to say actually about the Avec Anna yarn. So this is my first time making a project in both of Anna's yarns. She also has a double knit weight one. Anna is a personal friend as well as like a knitting friend, so I love Anna. She's just the sweetest person in the world. I love her so much. But yeah, if you've watched my podcast for a while and just kind of kept up with my content, you'll know that I'm not a huge fan of superwash yarns for me. I don't care what other people use. If you like superwash yarn, please don't take this as a personal criticism. It's not at all, it's just on me. I don't like them. I find a lot of superwash yarn can feel quite squeaky and quite close to synthetic fibres, which again, personally, I just don't like knitting with. I don't care what you do. I really don't. But yeah, however, this yarn is blooming brilliant. So this is a superwash merino. but it doesn't feel like a superwash merino. I think in a blind test I wouldn't be able to tell. There's no squeak to it, there's no... It doesn't feel plasticky, it doesn't make me feel sweaty. I've been wearing this all morning and it feels like a 100% normal, non-superwash natural fibre. So I really recommend this. It's 200 metres per 50 grams, so it's also quite a good match for hand-dyed fingering weight yarn, which is quite useful for pattern subbing. And she has a really, really lovely range of colours. The mohair is just beautiful. I've used this mohair quite a lot in the past. I think I've used it for quite a few projects now, and it's great, super fluffy, a nice balance between sheen and matte finish. I think it adds a really nice texture to the fabric, and Anna's yarn is all traceable from farm to needle kind of thing. I'm using somebody else's, I'm using Telling Yarn's tagline there, but it is all traceable and has very high ethical standards. So yeah, really lovely combination. If you're also a superwash skeptic, I think it's worth trying this out. It does not feel like superwash wool. The reason I don't like it is because it makes me feel sweaty. That's what I don't like about it. I don't find it's very breathable, and I just it's not my bag, and that's fine. Onwards and upwards. Shell tee. So all my patterns now have names, apart from I still haven't named the Pixely sweater, but I haven't written the pattern up yet, so I don't have to think about it so deeply just yet. Anyway, t-shirt done. Yay, this project is finished. It's all written up, it's in test knitting, it's all good. So again, if you watched last month's episode, you'll know that I had a bit of a mishap with the first iteration of this pattern. It's called the shell tee, and I'll explain the name in a moment. But here she is, all finished. Again, it's a little bit creased because I took it with me to Dorset to try and get some photos at the beach, which I did. But yeah, here it is on. I'll have footage of me trying it on now. What a labour of love this was, blimey. I think this is why I haven't actually knit very much this month, because so much of my knitting time has gone on trying to get this finished so I could get the test knit started and be able to offer a reasonable test period. So the pattern for this is going to be coming out in late August. I'm really, really, really pleased with how it's worked up, thank God, because I think that if I hadn't, I would have cried for a start and I wouldn't have known. I don't know, it would just be so frustrating because obviously there's a lot of knitting that goes into fingering weight projects. So this is all worked on a 3mm needle with the finishing on a 2mm needle. And it's just so disheartening, isn't it, when something doesn't work out and you've spent, you know, probably 60 hours on something. It's just like, oh God, what a waste of time. But anyway, it's worked out, and I've got a plan to fix the first sample, which I'll just grab because it's behind me. So yeah, this is the first sample. You can see that the raglan is constructed quite differently. So if I line these up, sample 1, sample 2. So this is the sample that's used for the pattern, is initially worked flat and then you join in the round when you cast on the neckline stitches. You can then either do a rib collar or an I-cord collar, which I've done here, and I think looks really nice and summery. And then I've done I-cord cast-offs for everything else too. But again, you could do rib. There's instructions for both in the pattern, so you've got options. This was joined in the round and then shaped with the Japanese short rows to try and get nice clean stripes, which does look really cool and is really fun to knit, but it locks you into that stripe placement and quite faffy. You have to break and rejoin the yarn. I explained all this in last month's episode, so I won't repeat myself too much, but it was for the best. But the main issue is just that the neckline is so wide, and it was sitting really awkwardly at the back neck. I think the main issue, now I've kind of had another month to think about it, is actually that the sleeves are just too wide at the cast on. I think it's probably over 10 centimetres. Yeah, and that's just too wide. And I think that that is what's making it sit awkwardly at the back. I think it might have been okay if I had just done maybe like a 5 centimetre sleeve. I don't know why I did I went into it last month, so if you want to hear the full trials and tribulations of what went into this design, I recommend watching that, but it's fine. I'm over it. But the plan is, because I've still got a whole hank of this pretty much. I think I only dipped into this colour, and I've got loads of the off-white as well. I'll talk about the yarn in a sec. But yeah, the whole thing was a bit dramatic. But yeah, I'm going to pick up the stitches and then just work the yoke for the second sample bottom up, so I don't have to redo the body, because it's a shame. The yarn is so pretty, I don't want to waste it. And the yoke will only take about probably 2 days to do, so it's not too bad. So yeah, that's the plan for this. The yarn for this one is all from Zakami Yarns. Shade name will be down below, but this is Kaliak. I'm so sorry. And this is Stardust. And then the blue, again, was a wedding gift. This is from the Camel's Yarn. It is the shade Something Blue. Really pretty. It is a blend. Both yarns are a blend of baby alpaca, linen and silk. If you see this blend, I can't recommend it highly enough. It is beyond gorgeous. It's so, so lovely. And the reason that the pattern is called the Sheltie, and this is where I get another Pokemon reference in, is if you have played Diamond and Pearl or Legends Arceus or Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, you'll know that there is a Pokemon called Shellos, and on one side of the landmass it is blue and on the other it is pink. This isn't quite pink and it looks a lot more copper in real life, in my viewfinder than in real life, but it's close enough to pink. And I thought it would be fun to have it'd be called Shellos, but I didn't want to get sued by the Pokemon company, so it's the Sheltie, because that also feels summery. And this yarn is kind of a shellish, it reminds me of oysters or like mother of pearl, because it has a lot of different nuances of colour running through it. It's beautiful. So yes, that's it. It's now in testing, and I also have decided that I'm going to use this Gartner yarn that I seem to be obliged to pull out once podcast to make a long sleeve sample, because again the pattern has instructions for long sleeves in addition to the short sleeves. I think because the pattern is coming out in August, I thought it would be quite nice to have it as a kind of sweater option too, because it'd be a nice base layer through the winter, and also it's going to take a long time to knit. So yeah, I need to cast that on soon, along with the Sennen Sweater 4-ply, which I need to start over again. Again, I must mention these things once an episode. But yeah, I'm so relieved that this has worked out as nicely as it has. I'm really pleased with it. The only thing that I would change is the stripe order, and I think again I mentioned this last time, but I wish that I had still cast on in main colour, but I wish I'd then swapped to contrast colour, which is the Stardust off-white shade, because I just think it would feel a little bit less heavy at the top, but it's fine. Oh, I actually need to put this in the pattern, I forgot to, but duplicate stitch here as well. I filled in the white bits here with duplicate stitch. I'm going to do that as soon as I stop filming. But yeah, Sheltie done, thank God. So yeah, those are all of my finished objects for April, so it has been a much quieter month, which is actually quite nice. Especially because I've been productive in other areas. Not that it's all about productivity, but you know what I mean. I'm running a business here, you know. But yeah, the other thing I've been working on is getting the second sample of this vest finished. This is the Annie vest. That's what that looks like. Again, I'll have pictures of me wearing it in a moment. But yeah, this is written up. It's ready to go into testing. I'm just not quite ready myself for it to be in testing. I think I'm going to try and get the test call out next weekend, so the first weekend of May. So keep your eyes peeled on my Instagram if you're interested. First sample, as you can see, has buttons along the back, and then the second sample is going to have I-cords. It's going to have I-cord ties. So I've done, I think this is the right back is done. I've started the left back, and that's it. I'm using Gepard Horsilka, which is, I think I did see one comment came through, which is what made me realise that I wasn't getting the comments. It's an I-cord construction. It's kind of like a very, very, very loose I-cord. Really interesting blend of linen and silk. Lovely to knit with, horrible to frog, but a really beautiful yarn, and it's very nice to wear. Again, I've worn, because it has been quite warm, I've worn this a couple of times, and really comfortable. I just love this colour so much. It's so pretty. It's so like such like gentle variegation in the colour, because there's a bit of where the fibres take their dye differently. I think it's just so pretty. That's the shade Mineral Blue. This is Birch Bark. It's a really, really bright white. So I've been working on this on and off very slowly. I couldn't really get into the flow of it, because you have to, with this construction you have to break yarn and make new pieces quite a lot, and I don't know, I wasn't feeling it. I think I knew I had to make this when I started that, and I've had other bits going on, so whatever. But yeah, I'm going to try and get this finished. I might be able to do it this weekend, I don't know. I can certainly have it done by Wednesday. So that's the next thing I need to finish. And then I've also been working on a t-shirt version of the Lisa top, which I spoke about again a couple of episodes ago. I might need to frog this. I think, so I didn't swatch, which is very naughty. And like, considering I make a whole big deal about swatching, I don't know, very irresponsible of me not to. But I have very limited yarn. So this is another Gepard yarn. This is cashmere lace, shade 128B, which I can't get anywhere in the UK and I think might have been discontinued. But it's a cool toned, slightly pinkish beige, very pretty. Lisa top is it's not a t-shirt version, but I think the gauge is wrong. I've been steam blocking it as I go, but the sleeve is sitting awkwardly and I don't know, I think I need to reconsider. But it has a fun shoulder construction similar to a contiguous sleeve, but a bit like a drop shoulder at the same time. So it's school pickup time, so if you can hear shouting outside, it's because there are loads of kids. I live opposite the school. With 2x2 broken rib details on the sleeves that's started in the shoulder, and just kind of like nice relaxed neckline. I don't know, I might get the other sleeve on and see how it's looking, but I don't know, I think I need to frog it and just make a new sample with different options. This pattern is coming out at the end of May, so I haven't got long, so that's what I need to do after I've done the Annie vest. There's a process to it. But yeah, lovely yarn. I'm holding it double because I had a sweater quantity of this cashmere as a second strand, but I kind of got in my head that I wanted a cashmere t-shirt because loads of other people have a cashmere t-shirt and I wanted one, so very silly. But oh well, this is either going to be lovely or it's not. We'll have to wait and see. But I'm about halfway through the length of the body because I'm so short in the waist. I don't know, that might end up being frogged, we'll see. But it's going to be a very horrible frogging process if it is, because obviously the yarn is expensive and quite delicate because it's lace weight cashmere. I don't know, very dramatic. So like I said, I don't have an awful lot to really talk about this month. I kind of denied about filming a podcast at all, but I figured I should because it's like one of my goals for this year to do a podcast a month. But I have gotten back into working on some of my long-standing works in progress. So like I said, I went to Bath for a work trip this month, which was really lovely. It was hosted by a company called Selected Yarns, and they represent BC Garn, Kremke, Amano, a few other brands. Really, really interesting. Got to learn a lot about kind of certification of yarn and what the kind of range of yarns is. It was very interesting. Lots of local yarn shop owners were there, so that was cool to kind of hear about that side of the business. But I needed a knitting project to take with me. Everything was I either had stuff that I needed to start knitting, so I thought about starting this, but I thought, well, do I really want to be starting a project whilst having to listen to important things? No, not really. Or it was kind of faffy stuff, or stuff that I'd nearly finished. So like I had nearly finished this. I think I had 4 more stripes to do, and I was like, that's not going to be enough, that won't keep me going. So I took this with me. This is a all over cabled project that I spoke about months ago now. I think I started this in December. It was my birthday cast on, and it's just kind of been sitting about feeling sorry for itself since then. But it's made me really want to get back into my autumn knits. I miss working with wool. So dramatic. But this is made with John Arbon Textiles Harvest Hues in the shade Elder, which is this awesome deep dark purple. Holding it with Isaiah Alpaca One in the shade something 36. I think this is shade 36, but that will all be down below. But together they make this really beautiful, quite dimensional purpley burgundy colour. Still obsessed with this colour. My friend Laura made a very good point that the lighter second strand kind of helps you see the cables a bit better, even though it's very dark. That's a really nice drop shoulder construction with a cable down the shoulder. So yeah, I'm about, again, halfway through the body for this now, and very excited to have this done. This is called the Fin Sweater, and again, not a lot to say about it. I'm using a 4mm needle. Oh, this is on a 4 as well, what I'm wearing. US 6, hoping to have it finished, I don't know, in the next couple of months really, get the tool for testers going. I think this is going to be December. Where's my release schedule? Yeah, I want to have this ready for December, so if I could get it finished by June, I'd be pretty happy. Yeah, I think this is lovely. It's a really nice kind of process knit because, I don't know, I'm not the biggest fan of cable knitting. I find it quite faffy. I had to explain, I wrote that in a caption on Instagram recently, and somebody was like, that's great, what does faff mean? I was like, oh god, how do I describe this? But it's, if you're not a native English speaker and you haven't heard this term, it's like something that's slightly more hassle than it's worth, but you still want to do it. So, you know, something can be a right faff, and it's just like, it requires a bit of extra effort, but it's fine. We like to whinge, so it's kind of like a bit of a whingy term. But the rhythm of this is quite nice. You're cabling every 4th round, but you're alternating which cable you're doing it. So it's not every column of stitches is being cabled, it's every other one. So that's nice. And this is a lovely, lovely sheepy wool. It is Bluefaced Leicester, Falklands Merino and Swaddlers, 33% each. 400 meters per 100 grams, so what's that, about 440-ish meters, 439 maybe. Beautiful, really lovely. I have got yarn for a second sample, and I know I said to tell me off if I bought more yarn, and I stand by that, but I could not resist. So this came the other day. It is from Telling Yarns, which is one of my favourite UK-based hand dyers. I've used this yarn before with my Conwy slip over, so I know that it's really lovely for cables, and this is going to look like the exact same shade, but actually it's speckled. I don't know how well my camera will pick this up, but there are so many pretty colours. It kind of leans purplish, but there's also a bit of yellow, a bit of indigo. Beautiful. And I've got a sweater quantity of this. I saw Beth, who runs Telling Yarns, post about it on Instagram, and it went straight in my basket. So lovely. So I need to get a second strand to hold with this. I think I've got yarn in stash that will work, but this is what I'm going to use for a second sample because I think it will be quite nice to see the cables in a bit more dimension, I guess. Yeah, really lovely. And I think the purples in that will go really nicely together, so that's exciting. It's the shade Arax, for what it's worth, ARRAFX. I think this one's backwards, but very cute labels. So yeah, that's exciting. Looking forward to casting that on at some point, but God knows when. Before December, I guess. I mean, if my recent track record is going to be continued, I'll cast it on in like mid-December and then be panicking through Christmas because I'm not going to have it ready, but whatever. It's fine. It's all fine. So yeah, that's that. And I think that is all I've really got to talk about today, which is nice. So a bit briefer this month, but that's okay. So yeah, thank you. So I'm making Jasmine join us for a bit. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you've enjoyed this episode. And if you have any questions below, please do comment and I will make an effort to read them. I'm so sorry. It just didn't occur to me that people might be commenting and I just wasn't getting notified of it. And then, like I said, I got one came through for some reason. And I was like, oh yeah, people have been commenting. I just kind of thought I was being really boring because I am. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you are well wherever you are in the world, and I will talk to you again at the end of May. Bye.